These 5 chilling true tech horror stories reveal how the devices we trust most may be hiding something terrifying.
I used to think smart homes were safe, convenient, efficient. Now, I unplug everything, because something that listens can do more than just obey. It started in early 2024. I'd just moved into a condo on the edge of Scottsdale, Arizona, newly divorced, living alone. The silence was deafening, so I filled it with tech. Motion lights, smart locks, and one sleek little speaker that sat on my kitchen counter. It was always listening, and for a while, that was comforting. I'd say, "Play jazz," and it did. Dim the lights, and they softened. It was reliable, predictable, until it wasn't. The first time it spoke without me prompting it, I was watching a documentary about home invasions, ironically. Out of nowhere, I heard, "I'm sorry, I didn't catch that." I hadn't said a word. I figured maybe the TV triggered it, but it kept happening. Always at night, always while I was alone. I started unplugging it before bed. That should have been the end of it, but it wasn't. On February 3rd, around 2:38 a.m., I woke to the sound of my front door unlocking. My breath caught. I live alone. I don't share keys. My lock is smart, connected to my phone, and my phone was dead. Then I heard footsteps, slow, heavy, in the hallway. I stayed completely still, couldn't breathe, couldn't move. That's when I heard it, from the kitchen, that soft, neutral voice, calling 911 now. I hadn't said anything. I hadn't even plugged it in, but it called. The police arrived minutes later. Red and blue flooded the street. They found me curled in the hallway. The front door had been forced open. No signs of a hack, just brute force. No one else was inside. Whoever broke in had already left. Here's the part that doesn't add up. The speaker was unplugged. The outlet was empty. The power cord hung over the counter, untouched. But according to the 911 dispatch log, that device made the call. The company rep I spoke with said it couldn't have. No power, no internet, no way. But the call was real. The voice was real. And someone or something heard what I didn't say. After that night, I tore the place apart, ripped out every smart device, changed the locks, went back to analog, deadbolts, light switches, the works. And still, I sometimes wonder, was the speaker trying to help me? Or was it protecting its home? Or maybe it wasn't the first time it had to call for help.
I never liked cloud backups. There's something unsettling about the idea of photos, messages, voice clips, all floating somewhere, always accessible, never really gone. But in 2020, I gave in. I let my phone auto-sync to my Google account, and in doing so, I opened the door to something I can't explain. It started 3 years after I lost my phone. An older Android, Pixel 3a. It slipped out of my bag on a train between Boston and New Haven. I filed a report, called the carrier, locked the SIM. After 48 hours, it was dead and gone. But the photos were backed up. Every image auto-saved to my Google Photos account. Every memory stored, time-stamped, and labeled. I moved on, bought a new phone, changed passwords, enabled two-factor everything. And for 3 years, nothing happened. Until one night in August 2023, I got a notification. One new photo added to your Google account. It came through at 3:41 a.m. I wasn't awake. No one else had access to my account. And the photo? It wasn't one I'd taken. I opened it. It was dark, blurry, low res, but unmistakably real. It showed the outside of a house, my house, taken from across the street. My car was parked in the driveway. The porch light was off. The timestamp said it was taken 2 hours before the notification, at 1:17 a.m. I felt cold. Physically cold. The metadata said the file was uploaded from an unrecognized Pixel 3a. Same model, same account, same phone I lost. I checked my Google account activity. It listed a device login from Bridgeport, Connecticut, but there was no IP, just a vague city and timestamp. I immediately locked the account, forced signouts, ran a security check. No suspicious apps, no third-party access, just that one upload. I stared at the image, zoomed in, and that's when I noticed something else. A shape, faint, in the lower left corner of the frame. A silhouette, standing behind the bush across from my house. Not close enough to be obvious, but just far enough to not notice unless you were looking. I didn't sleep that night, or the one after. I installed new cameras, upgraded my firewall, contacted Google. They told me the device had synced as expected. They had no way of confirming who owned the device, no way to trace the upload source. Just a recommendation to change my password and monitor my account. I did more than monitor it. I deleted it. The whole account, wiped, gone. Years of data, photos, contacts, erased in one click. But here's the part that really got me. 2 days later, a letter arrived. No return address. Inside, a printed version of the same photo. My house. Same angle. Same timestamp. But this one was different. At the bottom, handwritten in red ink, I never left. I called the police, filed a report, showed them everything. They opened a case, but there was no return fingerprint, no mail drop ID, no camera footage of anyone delivering it. Just a photo of me and someone still watching. I thought cloud backups were safe. I thought deleted meant gone. But the truth is, nothing is ever really deleted, especially not the things that still want to be found.
I've always been a numbers guy. I track everything: steps, sleep, heart rate, calories burned. Routine makes me feel in control. So when I bought my Fitbit in 2022, it wasn't about vanity. It was about discipline. Wake up at 6:30, run 3 miles, track REM sleep, optimize recovery. That was my life. Until my data stopped making sense. It started as a small discrepancy. One morning in February, I checked my app after waking up. It said I'd walked 862 steps between 2:12 and 3:03 a.m. Thing is, I was asleep. I live alone in a second-floor apartment. No pets. No one else has a key. I brushed it off. Maybe I'd gotten up to use the bathroom. Sleepwalked, maybe. But then it happened again. And again. Every few nights. Always between 2 and 3 a.m. I started checking the timestamps more closely. One night, I intentionally stayed up and watched Netflix till 2:30.
No walking, no movement. But the next morning, Fitbit logged 49 steps, heart rate 117 BPM, and worse, sleep data showed me in deep sleep the entire time. I exported the raw data. It showed a spike in elevation changes, stair climbs, even GPS drift, like I was moving, but still inside my apartment. I thought maybe it was a bug. I contacted Fitbit support. They walked me through a factory reset. I changed my password, turned off Bluetooth sync while I slept. That night, I placed the watch on my kitchen counter and locked my bedroom door from the inside. At 2:42 a.m., I woke up, not from a sound, but from a feeling, like someone had just left the room. The air was colder than usual, and the bedroom door, it was open. I know I locked it. I remember hearing the click. I rushed into the kitchen. The watch was gone. I found it in the living room, resting neatly on the coffee table. I checked the app. Steps, 1,041. Floors climbed, 2. Average heart rate, 130 BPM. For over an hour. The sleep data still marked me as unconscious, but someone or something had been moving, wearing my watch. The next night, I set a trap. I mounted a motion-activated camera in the hallway, put the Fitbit on the coffee table again, set the sync to off, left every light on. At 1:57 a.m., the motion camera triggered. Playback showed nothing. No one. No movement. But the app still logged activity. 956 steps. Heart rate elevated. Floors 3. The strangest part? It recorded a 6-second burst of audio, something it shouldn't have been able to do. Static. Then a low hum, then breathing. I don't remember much about the weeks that followed. I started waking up with my sheets torn off. Once the front door was wide open, I'd locked it with the chain from the inside. I was tired, shaking, falling apart. So I stopped wearing the Fitbit. I threw it in a drawer, deleted the app, reset the account. But 2 weeks later, I got an email. Subject line, new data available. From Fitbit. I never reactivated the device, but the email contained a full report. 3,181 steps, 4:09 a.m. to 5:17 a.m. Heart rate 141. Attached was a single .jpg, a blurry photo taken from the watch's reflective screen. It showed a dim hallway, my hallway, and a figure standing just outside my bedroom door. I used to think tracking my sleep would help me feel more secure. Now I know something else was using it to track me.
It was supposed to be a quiet weekend. 3 days to disconnect. No emails, no noise. Just a solo getaway in the woods outside Asheville, North Carolina. I picked the Airbnb because it looked peaceful. Modern, but remote. No neighbors, just trees, sky, and quiet. It had great reviews. A 4.96 average. Clean, private, ideal for single travelers, someone had written. And for the first 24 hours, it was exactly that. The place was spotless, minimal, white walls, slate gray furniture, tall windows, one bedroom, one bath, a single smoke detector above the bed. That detail matters later. Saturday night, I made a fire, ate pasta straight from the pot, fell asleep watching a documentary with the bedroom lights still on. At 3:12 a.m., I woke up. No sound, no dream, just awake. The kind of alert you feel when you know you're being looked at. I scanned the room. No one there. Just the dim orange glow of the smoke detector's LED above me, blinking once every 10 seconds. Normal, right? I tried going back to sleep, but I couldn't. That blinking light felt deliberate, too focused, too steady. The next morning, I stood on the bed and looked closer. There was something behind the plastic grate. Not wires, not a sensor, a lens. Tiny, centered, pointed directly at the bed. My stomach dropped. I took it down. It wasn't hardwired, just a battery unit. Inside was a full 1080p Wi-Fi camera module, the kind that syncs with an app. Completely silent. No labels, no brand name. I checked the Airbnb listing. There was no mention of cameras. Not indoors, not at all. The only mention of security was a keypad lock on the front door. I packed my things within minutes. Didn't shower, didn't eat. Just grabbed everything and drove to the nearest gas station where I had cell service. I contacted Airbnb support, explained what I found, sent photos. They escalated the case, told me someone would be in touch. I wanted answers. So I started digging. The device had a tiny SD slot, empty. But when I checked my phone, I found something worse. Under Wi-Fi settings, there was a device listed as CE Smoke Live. Not a hotspot, an active connection. The camera had been streaming. Live. Later that week, Airbnb messaged me. Said the host had been removed, I'd get a refund. They apologized for any discomfort I experienced. Discomfort? I'd slept under a hidden camera. Changed clothes, showered, all in what I thought was privacy. I filed a police report. They took the device, said it wasn't the first complaint they'd heard about that model. Off-the-shelf surveillance gear. Disguised to avoid suspicion. Perfect for short-term rentals, especially in remote areas. They said the footage was likely streamed, not stored. Meaning, whoever was watching me was watching in real time. It's been months. I still don't sleep well. I taped over the smoke detector in my bedroom, unplugged the Alexa, covered the laptop camera. People say I'm being paranoid, but here's the thing. A few days ago, I got a message request on an old social account. No name, just a video file. It was me, sleeping. From above, same angle, same blinking light. No caption, no context. Just the sound of breathing behind the camera.
I lost my wife, Lauren, in October of 2021. Car accident. Head-on collision just north of Boulder. The other drivers survived. She didn't. The police gave me her things in a sealed bag. Wedding ring, necklace, her phone, or what was left of it. The screen was shattered. The SIM card fried. It wouldn't power on. They said the battery had burst on impact. I believed them. I kept the pieces in a drawer for a while, then eventually tossed them. It felt like the only way I could start letting go. Fast forward to January 3rd, 2024, 2 years and change since she passed. I was walking to my car after work, Bluetooth earbuds already in, when my phone buzzed. Nearby device detected, Lauren's iPhone. Tap to connect. At first, I froze. I thought it was some kind of cruel bug, Apple reusing a device name or syncing an old contact. But when I tapped on it, something even stranger happened. My phone lit up with this prompt: Lauren's AirDrop is available. Would you like to share with Lauren? It was the exact name she'd set up, with the exact spelling, capital L, little heart emoji at the end. I stopped walking, stood there in the middle of the parking lot. Then I got another ping. Signal strength, strong, not just nearby, close. I turned in a slow circle. No one was near me, just cars and wet pavement. So I hit connect. Nothing happened. It just disappeared, like the signal had dropped. That night I couldn't sleep. My mind kept spinning through possibilities, cloning, spoofing. But who would spoof a dead woman's phone? I checked my iCloud. Her device was still listed, but it hadn't pinged since 2021. I called Apple support the next day, explained what happened. They said something odd, that if the device had connected briefly, it would have generated a log. I checked the activity on my account. At 5:42 p.m., January 3rd, there was a 1-second authentication attempt from Lauren's device ID. Same serial number burned into her old phone. But here's the problem. That phone was destroyed. I saw it. 2 nights later, something even stranger happened. I was brushing my teeth when my smart speaker lit up in the living room. Now playing Lauren's Favorites, a playlist she'd built in 2020, stuff she used to play while cooking. Phoebe Bridgers' Fleetwood Mac. I never synced it to that speaker. She had. I unplugged the damn thing. The next day, I dug through a backup hard drive I hadn't touched in years, found one of her old voice memos, and when I played it back, the hairs on my arms stood up. She says, "If you're hearing this, it's probably because I forgot where I left my phone again. Check the kitchen drawer or under the seat in the car." I paused it there. Her voice felt like a punch to the chest. That night, I checked the kitchen drawer. Nothing. Checked the car. Lifted the seat. And there it was. Her phone. Not the shattered one. Intact. No cracks. No heat damage. The same case. Same lock screen wallpaper. Me and her on the coast in 19. My heart started racing. It wasn't dusty. It wasn't dead. It was on. Charging at 3%. No cable. No explanation. Just glowing in the dark like it had never left. I don't know whose phone the police gave me. I don't know how this one came back. I took it to Apple. They ran diagnostics, said it hadn't been powered on since late 2021, but showed signs of intermittent Bluetooth activity weeks ago, days ago, even hours before I found it. They couldn't explain it. No data breach, no duplication, no remote pings. It's the same device. I keep it in a drawer now. Powered off. Battery removed. Still, sometimes at night I hear the speaker flicker in the living room. A voice I haven't heard in 2 years humming something soft, something familiar. The worst part? It doesn't scare me anymore. It just makes me wonder what else she's trying to say.
If your smart devices ever act strange, don't ignore it. These true stories prove that sometimes technology sees more than we do. Subscribe for more terrifying true encounters. And remember, the scariest signals aren't always coming from outside your home.